I was standing in front of my own refrigerator when my daughter Amanda screamed those words at me. "Don't touch that food. Kenny's family is coming for dinner." I'm George Patterson, 62 years old, and I was holding a package of ham I'd just bought with my own pension money an hour earlier. Amanda stood in the doorway with her arms crossed, looking at me like I was some stranger who'd wandered into her kitchen. This was supposed to be our kitchen, our house. But apparently I didn't get the memo about the new rules, Dad. "You heard me right," she said, not backing down. "Kenny's parents are coming over and I can't serve them just anything. This dinner is important." Then Kenny himself walked in. My son-in-law, always wearing those expensive suits, always acting like he owned the world. He put his hand on Amanda's shoulder and said, "Whatever my wife says goes, George." I stood there with that ham in my hands, looking at these two people I'd helped buy this house for. I'd put down $42,000 of my life savings. Money I'd earned working 40 years at the Ford plant. Money I'd saved penny by penny with my late wife Dorothy before she passed from cancer 5 years ago. "I understand," I said quietly, putting the ham back. But something broke inside me right then. Not loud, not dramatic. Just quiet, like when a bearing goes bad in an engine. You can't hear it at first, but you know something's wrong. I went down to my basement workshop and sat in my old chair, the same chair where I used to read bedtime stories to Amanda when she was little, where I taught her how to use tools, where I fixed her bike and built her a dollhouse with perfect little hinges. That was 2 years ago when I sold my house and moved in with them. Amanda had said, "This is your home too, Dad. You'll always have a place with us." She'd promised to put my name on the deed, promised this would be our house together. Now I was sitting in my workshop, banned from eating food I'd bought with my own money. The thing is, this wasn't the first time. It had been building for months. Little things at first. Comments about how much electricity I used in my workshop, suggestions that maybe I should eat dinner earlier, before they got home from work. Questions about when I might want to explore other living arrangements. But I'd ignored the signs because she was my daughter. Because after Dorothy died, Amanda was all I had left, because I wanted to believe that family meant something. Dorothy and I had raised Amanda by ourselves after her mother, my first wife, left when Amanda was 12. Just packed up and moved to California with some guy she met at her book club. Said she needed to find herself. Left me with a confused preteen girl who cried herself to sleep for months. I worked double shifts at the plant to keep us afloat. Dorothy, who I married when Amanda was 16, stepped in like she'd always been there. She loved that girl like her own daughter. Helped her with homework, took her dress shopping, walked her down the aisle when she married Kenny 8 years ago. Amanda seemed happy then. Good job at the marketing firm, nice apartment with Kenny, talked about buying a house someday. I was proud of her, thought all those years of sacrifice had paid off. When Dorothy got sick, Amanda visited regularly, brought flowers, helped with doctor appointments. I thought she cared. Maybe she did, in her own way. After Dorothy passed, the loneliness hit me like a truck. 40 years of marriage, then suddenly eating dinner alone every night, talking to myself in an empty house. That's when Amanda started suggesting I move in with them. "Dad, you shouldn't be alone. What if you fall? What if something happens to your heart again?" She was referring to the minor episode I'd had 3 years earlier. Nothing serious, but it had scared me. When they found the house they wanted, Amanda explained they were just short on the down payment. "If you sold your place and moved in with us, Dad, we could combine resources. You'd have your own space, your own workshop. It would be like having your own apartment, but with family nearby." It sounded reasonable. I was rattling around in a 3-bedroom house by myself, and their place would have a proper basement workshop. Plus, I'd be helping my daughter achieve her dream of home ownership. So I sold my house, the little ranch Dorothy and I had bought in 1987, where we'd been happy for 20 years. Got $98,000 for it after paying off the remaining mortgage. Gave Amanda $42,000 for their down payment and kept the rest for my retirement. "We'll put your name on the deed, Dad," Amanda promised. "This will be our house, legally and officially." I trusted her. She was my daughter. Why wouldn't I trust her? The first few months were okay. I had my workshop set up in the basement. Amanda still asked about my day when I came upstairs. Kenny was polite, if distant. I felt useful again, fixing things around the house, maintaining the yard, cooking dinner sometimes, but gradually things changed. Amanda started working later, coming home stressed and tired. When I'd ask about her day, she'd give short answers and go straight to her room. Kenny barely acknowledged me at all. Then came the papers. "Just some bank stuff, Dad." Paperwork for the mortgage refinancing. You don't need to read all that fine print. I should have read them, should have asked questions. But Amanda was rushing around, late for work, stressed about deadlines, and I trusted her. She was my daughter. Now, sitting in my workshop after being banned from my own kitchen, I wondered what exactly I'd signed, what those papers really said, and why, if my name was supposed to be on the deed, I'd never seen any official documents proving it. Hours later, after Kenny's family had left, I went upstairs to find something to eat. The kitchen was a disaster. Dirty dishes everywhere, empty wine glasses, food scraps on the table. They'd eaten almost everything I'd bought. I found some cold meatloaf in a container and ate it standing up in front of the open refrigerator, just like some unwanted boarder in someone else's house. That's when it really hit me. This wasn't my home. Despite putting down $42,000, despite the promises, despite everything Amanda had said, this wasn't my house at all. I was just an old man who'd been foolish enough to trust his own daughter. The next morning, while they were both at work, I decided to look for the house deed. I needed to see my name on it, needed to prove to myself that I wasn't losing my mind. I went through my metal filing box where I kept all my important documents: birth certificate, social security card, Dorothy's death certificate, my discharge papers from the army. The deed wasn't there. The folder where I was sure I'd put it was empty except for the receipt showing my $42,000 transfer to Amanda's account. No deed, no proof that I had any legal claim to this house whatsoever. My hands started shaking as I went through every paper twice, then 3 times. Nothing, it was gone. Either I'd misplaced the most important document of my life, or someone had taken it. And since Amanda was the only other person with access to my workshop, the answer was pretty obvious. I sat on my workbench, staring at that transfer receipt, $42,000. Nearly half my life savings. Money Dorothy and I had saved for decades, living modestly, driving used cars, skipping vacations. Money that was supposed to secure my future, not make it disappear. That afternoon, I called the county recorder's office. A polite young woman looked up the property record for me. "Mr. Patterson," she said, "the deed shows Amanda Patterson Clark and Kenneth Clark as the sole owners. There's no record of you having any legal interest in the property. But I contributed money to the down payment. I have a receipt." "I'm sorry, sir, but a financial contribution doesn't automatically create ownership rights. You'd need to be listed on the deed or have some other legal documentation." I hung up feeling like someone had punched me in the gut. Amanda had lied to me. Not just a little white lie, a complete calculated deception designed to steal my money and leave me with nothing. Over the next few days, I started paying closer attention to everything. The way Amanda avoided eye contact when she talked to me. How Kenny smirked when he thought I wasn't looking. The expensive clothes Amanda kept bringing home from shopping trips funded by her successful career. A successful career that somehow still required her to ask me to pay $400 a month in rent. "It's only fair, Dad," she'd said the week before. "You're using utilities, eating our food, taking up space. Everyone should contribute. Our food, our house." Like I was some charity case instead of the man who'd made their lifestyle possible. Then came the morning that changed everything. Amanda was rushing off to work as usual, juggling her coffee, her purse, and her phone. In her hurry, she left the phone on the living room couch. I stared at that phone for a full 10 minutes before I picked it up. I knew her passcode. She'd used the same 4 digits for everything since high school. Her wedding anniversary, 0818. My finger hesitated over the screen. This was crossing a line, violating her privacy. But then I thought about my missing deed, my empty filing folder, the $42,000 receipt that seemed to be the only proof I'd ever existed in this transaction. I opened her text messages. The first conversation was with her friend Lisa from work. Recent messages from just a few days ago. "Almost done getting Dad off the deed." Amanda had written, "Lawyer says 2 more weeks and everything will be finalized. Then I can sell this place and buy something decent in Riverside." My heart stopped, getting me off the deed. I was never on the deed to begin with. I scrolled up to see earlier messages. "Dad is so clueless." Another text read, "He signs everything I put in front of him without reading a word." 1 more document and problem solved. Problem solved, that's what I was to her. A problem to be solved. There were more messages going back weeks. Amanda complaining about having to manage Dad's expectations. Jokes about my senior moments when I asked questions about the paperwork. Plans to convince me to move into some kind of assisted living situation once the house sale went through. But the worst was a conversation with someone named Vincent Taylor. A lawyer, based on the context. Mrs. Clark, one message read, "We've successfully processed your father's power of attorney documents. He signed over financial decision-making authority as requested. We can now proceed with removing any potential claims he might have had to the property." Power of attorney? I'd never signed anything like that. Or had I? Those papers Amanda kept bringing me, always in a rush, always dismissing my questions with just routine stuff, Dad. I took pictures of everything with my old flip phone, screenshot after screenshot of my daughter documenting her own betrayal, planning my financial destruction like it was just another item on her to-do list. There was a whole folder in her messages labeled Dad Situation, like I was a pest control problem she was trying to solve. I heard a car door slam outside. Amanda was back. She must have forgotten something. I quickly put the phone exactly where I'd found it and went back to my workshop. My mind was racing. Power of attorney, forged documents, plans to sell the house out from under me. This wasn't just a misunderstanding or a family disagreement. This was fraud. Criminal fraud. That night at dinner, Amanda mentioned casually that she'd found a really nice assisted living place about 20 minutes away. "Just thought you might want to take a look, Dad. See what's available for the future, you know?" Kenny nodded supportively. "Great amenities there, George. Pool, activities, people your own age." I smiled and said it sounded interesting, that maybe we could visit sometime. But inside, I was thinking about those text messages, about how they'd already decided my future without bothering to ask what I wanted. After dinner, I went back to my workshop and did something I hadn't done since my army days. I made a plan. First, I needed legal help. Real legal help from someone who wasn't on Amanda's payroll. Second, I needed to document everything, every conversation, every suspicious document, every lie they'd told me. Third, I needed to be smart about it. No confrontations, no emotional outbursts, just methodical, systematic evidence gathering. Because if 40 years at the Ford plant had taught me anything, it was this. When you find a defective process, you don't just complain about it. You document it, build your case, and then you shut it down permanently. Amanda thought she was dealing with some confused old man who'd sign anything put in front of him. She was about to learn that the confused old man was actually a retired supervisor who knew exactly how to build an airtight case. The game had changed. I just wasn't sure she realized it yet. The next morning, I called my old army buddy Harold Morrison. We'd served together in Germany back in the 1980s, stayed in touch over the years. After his discharge, Harold went to law school on the GI Bill, became a successful attorney specializing in elder law and veteran affairs. "George?" Harold's voice was warm over the phone. "Good to hear from you. How are you holding up since Dorothy passed?" "That's actually why I'm calling, Harold. I think I'm in some legal trouble. My daughter, I think she's been stealing from me." The warmth in Harold's voice immediately shifted to professional concern. "Tell me everything, George. Start from the beginning." So I did. The whole story. Selling my house, the $42,000 contribution, the promises about the deed, the missing paperwork, the text messages I'd found. Harold listened without interrupting, occasionally asking for clarification on dates or amounts. When I finished, there was a long silence. "George," Harold finally said, "what you're describing is elder abuse, financial exploitation. If you have those text messages as evidence, this is a strong case." "How strong?" "Strong enough that they could face criminal charges. But more importantly for you, strong enough to get your money back and then some." Harold explained that cases like mine were becoming more common. Adult children manipulating elderly parents, forging documents, stealing life savings. The law took these cases seriously, especially when there was clear evidence of premeditation. "What will this cost me?" I asked. "For you? Nothing up front. You're a veteran. This is elder abuse, and frankly, George, these people piss me off. I'll take this case pro bono. We only pay if we win, and if we lose, we won't lose. Not with the evidence you've described, but George, I need you to understand something. Once we file this lawsuit, your relationship with Amanda is over, permanently. There's no going back from this." I thought about Amanda as a little girl crying in my arms after her mother left. Thought about walking her down the aisle at her wedding. Thought about all the years I'd worked extra shifts to give her everything I could. Then I thought about those text messages. Dad is so clueless. "Problem solved, file it," I said. Harold asked me to gather any additional documentation I could find. Bank records, receipts, copies of anything I'd signed. He also warned me to act normally around Amanda and Kenny. Don't let them know you're onto them, he said. Keep signing their papers if they ask. It'll just give us more evidence of ongoing fraud. But George, yeah, start documenting everything. Every conversation, every paper they give you, every suspicious behavior. Write it down with dates and times. We're going to need a complete timeline of their deception. I spent the next 3 days being the perfect target, agreeing with everything Amanda suggested, expressing interest in that assisted living place. Even signing another document Kenny brought home, something about updating beneficiary information on the house insurance. But every night I'd go to my workshop and write down everything that had happened. Date, time, who said what papers I'd been asked to sign, building the case methodically like quality control documentation at the plant. Meanwhile, Amanda was getting more confident. She started talking openly about their plans to move to a bigger house in a better neighborhood, how excited she was to finally have some space. How the assisted living place had a waiting list, but she was working on getting Dad moved up. Kenny even mentioned they'd found their dream house. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2-car garage, of course. We'll need to sell this place first, he said, looking directly at me. Clean slate, you know, clean slate. Like erasing me from their lives was just good business sense. 2 weeks later, Harold called. We're ready, George. I'm filing the lawsuit tomorrow. Are you prepared for what comes next? What comes next? They're going to be served with papers. They'll know it was you. They'll be angry, probably try to intimidate you or convince you to drop the charges. They might even try to throw you out of the house. Can they do that? Not legally, not while the case is pending. And George, the moment they're served, they can't sell that house, can't refinance it, can't transfer ownership. Everything gets frozen until the court decides who really owns what. The papers were served on a Thursday afternoon. I was in my workshop when I heard Amanda scream upstairs. Not yell, scream, like someone had died. I took my time climbing the stairs. Found them both in the living room, white as sheets, holding the court documents. Dad, Amanda's voice was shaking. What is this? I looked at the papers in her hands. Looks like a lawsuit for fraud and elder abuse. You can't be serious. This is insane. What's insane is thinking you could steal from me and get away with it. Kenny stepped forward, trying to look threatening. Listen, old man, you drop this right now, or what? I interrupted. You'll kick me out, make my life harder. Kenny, you've already done everything you can do to me. Now it's my turn. Amanda started crying. Real tears this time, Dad. I never meant to hurt you. Everything I did was to protect our future. Protect your future by destroying mine. But I'm your daughter, yes. You are, and that makes what you've done even worse. Harold had prepared me for this moment. The tears, the emotional manipulation, the promises to make everything right. But he'd also told me something important. George, the time for family reconciliation was before they committed fraud. Once we file this lawsuit, you're not just a father anymore. You're a plaintiff seeking justice. Act like one. So I did. I stayed calm, factual, unmoved by their theatrics. The lawsuit will proceed, I said. If you want to discuss settlement, you can contact my attorney. I gave them Harold's card and went back to my workshop, leaving them to figure out how their perfect scheme had just turned into their worst nightmare. That night, I heard them on the phone with lawyers, insurance companies, probably their parents. Lots of yelling, lots of panic. The sound of people realizing their lives were about to cost them everything. I slept better that night than I had in months. Not because I enjoyed their distress, but because for the first time in years, I felt like I had some control over my own life. The fight was just beginning, but at least now it was a fair fight. The case took 6 months to work its way through the courts. 6 months of living in that house with 2 people who now looked at me like I was their worst enemy. The atmosphere was toxic, but I endured it because Harold had assured me that moving out could hurt our case. They want you gone, George, he'd said. Don't give them the satisfaction. Amanda and Kenny hired Vincent Taylor to defend them, the same lawyer who'd helped them forge the documents in the first place. Harold just smiled when I told him. Taylor's a real estate attorney, Harold said. Good at contracts and closings, but he's never handled a criminal fraud case. This is going to be like watching a mechanic try to perform brain surgery. Harold was methodical in building our case. He subpoenaed Amanda's phone records, her email accounts, bank statements showing the luxury purchases made right after my $42,000 contribution. He brought in handwriting experts who found inconsistencies in my signature on some documents. He even tracked down the notary who'd allegedly witnessed one of my signatures. Turned out she'd been out of town that day. The evidence was overwhelming. Amanda and Kenny had documented their own crime so thoroughly that Harold said it was the easiest case he'd ever prepared. When we got to court, Judge Patricia Coleman presiding, I felt confident for the first time in months. Harold had prepared me well, walked me through every question I might be asked, every tactic the defense might try. Amanda took the stand first. She put on quite a performance, tears, emotional appeals, claims that she'd only been trying to help me manage my finances. Said I was becoming forgetful, that she was worried about my ability to make sound decisions, but then Harold cross-examined her. "Miss Clark," he said, pulling up the text messages on a large screen. "Can you explain this message where you wrote, 'Dad is so clueless, he signs everything I put in front of him without reading a word'?" Amanda's face went pale. She stammered something about being frustrated, about expressing herself poorly. "And this message where you told your friend, 'One more document and problem solved'? What problem were you solving?" You meant getting your father's money while avoiding any legal obligation to care for him. Isn't that correct?" Vincent Taylor objected, but the damage was done. You can't explain away premeditated fraud when you've documented it yourself in writing. When I took the stand, I kept it simple. Just the facts. What happened, when it happened, how much money was involved. Harold had taught me not to show anger or emotion, just stick to the timeline. Judge Coleman asked me one question that I'll never forget. "Mr. Patterson, why do you think your daughter did this to you?" I looked at Amanda sitting at the defendant's table, no longer crying, just staring at her hands. "Your Honor," I said, "I think somewhere along the way, my daughter stopped seeing me as her father and started seeing me as an asset to be liquidated." The courtroom was completely silent after that. Judge Coleman took 3 days to reach her decision. When we returned for the verdict, Amanda and Kenny looked like they'd aged 10 years. After reviewing all evidence presented, Judge Coleman began, "I find clear and convincing proof of elder abuse, fraud, and financial exploitation. The defendants engaged in a systematic scheme to defraud Mr. Patterson of his life savings." I felt Harold squeeze my shoulder. "Therefore, I order the following. All documents signed by George Patterson under false pretenses are void and unenforceable. Mr. Patterson has the right to immediate reimbursement of his $42,000 contribution plus damages of $16,000 for emotional distress and financial harm, totaling $58,000. $58,000. More than I'd lost. Additionally, defendants will pay plaintiffs' legal costs and court fees. I'm also imposing a $5,000 fine for elder abuse, to be paid to the State Victims Fund." The gavel came down like a quality control stamp. Case closed. Amanda collapsed in her chair. Kenny just stared at the judge like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Their scheme hadn't just failed. It had cost them everything. They had 30 days to pay up or face asset seizure. During that time, I found a nice manufactured home in a senior community about 30 minutes away. 2 bedrooms, workshop space, small yard, perfect for a garden. Cost $35,000 cash. When the check arrived, all $58,000 of it, I bought that house and used the remaining money to set up a small engine repair business. Patterson's Small Engine Repair. Nothing fancy, just honest work for fair pay. The day I moved out, Amanda tried one last manipulation. "Dad, please. Can't we work this out? I'll pay you back. We can start over. You're all I have left." I looked at this woman who'd spent months planning my financial destruction, who'd seen me as nothing more than a problem to solve. "You had me, Amanda. You had a father who would have given you anything, but you decided to take instead of ask. You chose to see me as prey instead of family. But you're my dad, and you were my daughter." Past tense. Harold helped me load my tools and belongings into his truck. As we drove away from that house for the last time, he asked, "Any regrets, George, about fighting back?" "None. About trusting them in the first place. That's on me for not seeing what was right in front of me." 6 months later, Harold called with an update. Amanda and Kenny had divorced. The stress of the lawsuit, the financial ruin, the shame of being exposed as elder abusers. Their marriage couldn't survive it. Amanda had lost her job and moved back in with her mother in California. Kenny was living with his parents, trying to rebuild his credit. "How do you feel about that?" Harold asked. "Like watching a defective assembly line finally get shut down," I said. My new life started at 62. Small engine repair business in my garage. Customers who appreciated quality work at honest prices. I joined the VFW, made friends with other veterans who understood that a man's worth isn't measured by his family's opinion of him. I kept one thing from the old house, that ceramic mug with the Ford logo that Dorothy had given me for my 20th anniversary at the plant. I drink my morning coffee from it every day, sitting in my workshop planning repairs that will actually fix things instead of just covering up problems. Sometimes people ask if I miss Amanda, if I regret how everything turned out. Here's what I tell them, and here's what I want you to understand if you're dealing with something similar. Love without respect is just manipulation. Family without honesty is just a long con, and when someone betrays your trust, getting justice isn't revenge, it's just quality control. You might think you could never fight your own family in court. I thought the same thing. But when the people who should protect you become the people you need protection from, you have two choices: be a victim or be a survivor. I chose survivor. And if you're in a situation like mine, if someone's taking advantage of your trust, your age, your love, you can choose it too. Document everything, find a good lawyer, and don't let anyone convince you that keeping peace is more important than keeping your dignity. The truth has a funny way of winning when you give it a fair fight, and justice. Real justice is worth more than any family dinner where you have to ask permission to eat food you bought with your own money.